Honkai Star Rail's producer said in a recent interview that they are a massive fan of the Trails franchise. We're talking the recently released in the US Trails to Azure and the popular Trails of Cold Steel series, just to name a few. There are quite a lot of games and far more coming. And with this mention, I feel like this is a very good sign for something Star Rail needs to take from the Trails series in order to boost its already, we're predicting, fairly phenomenal success. Hey there gang, Kawaii50 here with a video, and I hope you all enjoy this. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, etc. in order to get this out into the internet sphere. Alright, so Honkai Star Rail, looking pretty dang good. I think we can all agree on that. I've been watching some people who got into the closed beta. I have been checking out the trailers that have been getting pushed out by Hoyo, and I am very, very excited for this new turn-based RPG. I think is going to be absolutely phenomenal. But what made me even more excited than I was previously was that mention of the producer being a huge fan of Trails. I am also a huge fan of Trails, and I am very, very excited for all the Trails games that are going to be coming out here, and I might even replay Cold Steel in preparation for that. But you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about Star Rail and what it needs to take from Trails. But for the uninitiated, we've got to go ahead and talk about the Trails series itself just real quick, because it really ties into what Star Rail needs to take. So the Trails series is a very massive, in terms of world building, series of RPGs from Nihon Falcom. This series started way back with Trails in the Sky, has spanned quite a few games, and if the story is any indication, there are many more games down the pipeline to come. This follows a bunch of different protagonists throughout the series of games, the main notable ones being Estelle Bright from the Liberl saga, Lloyd Bannings from the Crossbell saga, and my boy Reen Schwarzer from the Arabonia saga. And I'm just mentioning stuff that came out in the US so far. I know there's more to come. Now, the thing that really works well with these games is the fact that all three of these protagonists I have just mentioned are all inexorably tied together. There are payoffs in the Trails series that are set up games in advance in completely separate countries that end up hitting their peak and showing you these grand reveals later down the line. The entire world, as you are going through these quests, they are completely and utterly intertwined. You're seeing characters you met in other games, you're seeing characters that travel between countries that you're meeting in games that take place at the same time. Everything is intertwined. Everything is pulled together into what seems like a living, breathing world that you are going to see grow and advance along with it. In addition to the main arcs of the Trails games, there are tons of little storylines you see pop off and come to fruition. Games that are meant to be 3 games are pushed into 4 games so they can make sure they get the right amount of plot points out. There are entire games like the upcoming Trails into Reverie that are just meant to be a bridge between one part of the saga and the next. That is their core function. That is how dedicated Falcom is to the story. They will make entire games that they initially had no plan to make way back when, just so the story can continue to make sense. And this in and of itself is what I feel Star Rail really needs to take from Trails and has a lot of potential to succeed in, considering that many members of the Star Rail team are such huge fans of Trails. As I was going through my stint in Genshin Impact, I did see a lot of characters show up in like different regions and things like that, but I really felt like overall, at least at the point that I ended up stopped playing in the grand scheme of the story, that once you left an area, you were pretty much done with it. There wasn't really a lot you were going to need to go back for story-wise. Sure, you'd pop back occasionally for like a little aside, but it really felt like that once problems were solved, they were solved. What I want to see from Star Rail is all the places we're going to go in this little sci-fi wonder sphere. I want to see the characters we meet there continue to follow us throughout our story. I want to see them influence things in other places in the world. I want to see storyline seeds planted in the very beginning that may not end up paying off until several patches down the line, maybe even double digits. I want to see what we are getting from these Trails games. I want to see this sort of living, breathing world that continues to evolve. I want to see all these minute storylines that we feel like may not end up having a purpose, actually have ended up having a very major focus in the grand scheme and endgame of Star Rail's arcs. I feel like this is really what we need to see from these games, and this is overall what is going to end up pushing this entire genre of free-to-play gacha games forward. I'm sure you know there are a lot of games that have ended service recently. It sort of seemed like a grind. They were pushing off of antiquated systems, but a lot of this did seem like a part of it. A huge focus on bite-sized storytelling, when it seems like a lot of things a lot of gamers are really looking for are things that can go ahead and tie everything together. And I'm not talking about a huge, I guess some people would refer to this as a marvelization of the games industry, sort of the design to keep things going for ridiculously long arcs without any sort of end to sight, sort of cutting and pasting additional things on there in a sort of haphazard way. No, that's not what we are looking for. That's not what we should be taking into Star Rail, and that's not what Trails in and of itself has been doing. Things are purposeful. Things are set with a entire planned design for a payoff. It's not like, oh, Iron Man did well, I guess we better go make an entire franchise out of it. No, things are purposeful. Things are planted. These stories are designed to have a slow burn and eventually come into fruition. And if Star Rail can pull that off, it doesn't have the potential to become just one of my favorite gacha games if it manages to seal the deal on that, but one of my favorite games, period. These are the things that I want to see from Star Rail. But of course, I want to know what you all think. If you think there is something else Star Rail could take from Trail specifically, go ahead and mention it down in the comment section below. If you think there is something Star Rail can take from any other game and sort of improve on it, go ahead and let us know about that as well. It is completely and utterly fine to borrow concepts from other games as long as the main game that is borrowing isn't just doing it to homage, they are doing it to learn a lesson and make something new work. Anyways, gang, that's it for me, Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day. I'll see y'all in the next video.